Welcome to the Postgame podcast. I've got Eddie Scazzeri with me here today. Good morning, Eddie.
Hello, podcast people and YouTube person.
Yeah, this is the last one of before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Tomorrow you are out, Jerry is out, and I'm going to hit the bricks right at 10 o'clock as soon as the show ends. So no podcast tomorrow other than the warm-up program, which I will do with CeeLo.
Mm-hmm.
I have two different things here. I want to ask you if you believe it's possible that either of these are real.
Okay.
One, people who call themselves animal mediums. These would be people that claim they can communicate with your dog, with your horse, and tell you what they are going through and what they are feeling if you're having an issue with said dog or horse.
Is it possible?
Is it possible?
In the true meaning of what you're talking about, meaning they have some sort of psychic connection
Mm-hmm.
and can read the thoughts of animals. I would say that's a very small chance. There are people who claim to have the same ability with humans also.
Correct.
I would say also a very small chance. Is it outside the realm of possibility? No. I think that the people who claim that have certainly a greater perception of animals, maybe can read their body language better than others.
That's
and
true,
have
yeah.
studied it. Because you can tell a lot about a dog. Like dog people wouldn't necessarily know that if you see a dog whose ears are back and and its tail is tucked, that's this warning sign. And of course, if it's snarling, that would be an obvious one.
Yeah, it's a good
even
warning.
to a non-dog person. But dog people can tell if their dog is afraid or if they're happy. Ears up, tail wagging. Although the tail wagging is a pretty universal sign, but the ears tucked back and the tail tucked under, sort of cowering, that's a sign. So I think those people have a greater perception, perhaps, of animal body language, or even vocalizations of animals. But a true mind reading, I would highly doubt that. I would put the possibility of that at 2%.
I don't know if they get like the animal they call themselves animal communicators, I
Mm-hmm.
think, or animal mediums, whatever they are. I don't think they claim that they're reading the mind of the animal as much as the animal is communicating to them somehow telepathically
Yeah.
what they want and need and what the problem is. Because when I did a big podcast, shocker, about all my dog issues, many people reached out with the same woman
Mm-hmm.
who was a dog medium. And I did go to our website based on what everyone was saying. And she got like a waiting list. It's like, if you want to get on the waiting list, here's what you do. I'm like, well, ah. And then when I was Googling it just for S's and giggles, as they say, I came across many. If you just search on Google,
Mm-hmm.
many different websites come up of people, mostly women, who claim they can communicate with animals.
Yeah, I would be highly suspect, although because they do have those other abilities that I mentioned, it still might be worthwhile. However, they are dressing it up, they still might be able to interpret things that the dog is doing as certain wishes or desires or phobias or whatever it is. So it could still be worthwhile. Let me ask: is she in your county?
No, I don't think so. This
But
would all be like online video.
okay, even more suspect.
Yeah, when I first got Whimsy, I don't know
Mhm,
if you remember, a woman had reached out who is a dog medium
mhm,
and agreed to do it for me for free.
mhm,
And I told her, "Oh, we'll video it and then we'll put it up." And
mhm.
we did it. And a, a couple things that I remember her mention. I really only remember two things. One, now listen, my dog was a racing dog,
Mhm.
was at the dog track. She said to me, she goes, Whimsy's telling me that she's seen many of her friends shot
Mm.
which was surprising to hear. But I guess is it possible if a dog is injured at like really injured at a track and they go put the animal out of its misery?
Yeah, if it's an yeah, I would say that is
So
possible.
possible.
Um, I don't know that they shoot them,
Yeah, I
but,
don't think so either,
you
but
know, they give them, the injection, but
mhm.
to put them down, but to actually use a gun
Yeah.
and perhaps just a sort of economies, they're not gonna bother to, if it's got a broken leg, which could be healed and mended, and the dog could be a wonderful pet for someone, not you, but for someone, uh, maybe they just don't wanna deal with the expense.
Yeah.
I know horses, because of how they live, if they break a leg, it's almost always they
Yeah.
euthanize them right there on the
That's
track,
wild.
which is sad,
Yeah.
but, they just don't deal well with, trying to mend a broken leg.
Yeah. Then the other thing is she said that the dog wants leg warmers.
Mhm,
I thought that was interesting.
mhm. Have you tried that?
No.
Do you think Whimsy would tolerate you putting leg warmers on her?
You know what? I did buy Gina bought leg warmers.
Mhm. For
Gina goes, "I'm gonna"
herself?
no, for the
Oh,
dog. She's
okay.
like, "I'm gonna buy her leg warmers." And I just had them in my house. And when Whimsy one time did one of those things where she just licked at the same part of her leg until it got a
Yes,
sore,
yes.
I put the leg warmer on it to try to
Mhm.
stop her from doing it. She didn't seem to love the leg warmers.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's all I remember getting out of it.
Yeah, again, is it possible? Sure, I suppose, but I would be highly suspect of a true mental telepathy.
Yeah, because even the dog whisperer,
Mhm.
Caesar Milan, he's more about dog behaviors,
Sure,
right?
right,
He's not saying your dog wants to, would love a fluffier bed. He's
right,
not saying that.
right, and your friend Bob, he does not like your friend Bob,
He's heard
whatever.
Bob say bad things
Yeah.
about him, but he'll do more like behavioral things,
Mhm.
like you were saying. You see
Yes.
what the ears back or the tail is in this position, and look how aggressive your dog's being
Mhm.
towards this, or so he's not communicating with the dog
No, he
as
just is an expert at dog communication.
yeah,
What the
dog
dogs
behavior.
are yes, and what the dog is sort of signaling you,
Yeah.
he understands all that.
It'd be great. Like, do you think at some point, we talk about AI and some people have a doomsday vision of AI is going to take over the world and ruin everything.
Right, the Terminator, scenario,
Yeah, yeah, like it's just
or
going to
the HAL
robots.
9000 scenario.
And others think, well, this could really be something really great. Do
Mhm.
you think we'll get an AI that can interpret a dog's whining or other behavior? There are times when an animal is trying to communicate with
Mhm.
you. Like you see it trying to be like,
Yes.
help me out here.
Or
I'm trying to speak to you.
Timmy's in down fell down the well.
Yeah. Like, do you think we'll get to that point with AI where we might be able to know what the animals want?
Yeah, I do think that's on the table, like,
Yeah. That would be great.
vocalizations of whales, dolphins,
Yes.
birds. I think with enough processing power and enough recordings, I think you might be able to build up a rudimentary language, for animals that would be available to the everyday person with some like a Google Translate situation.
Yes, that like that.
I think that is possible, and I know from my own dog's behavior, especially Raymond, who pays more attention to television and will react to animals on the screen, especially dogs. Um, if it's just sort of a canned dog sound,
Like a
uh,
sound effect.
yeah, like dogs barking, whatever, less of a reaction. Visually, yes, but if it's sort of a more real life, if the actual if it's a live programming or whatever,
A
one of these
documentary that has a dog.
something,
Yeah.
uh, and the dog is actually speaking dog language, you get more of a reaction because they're actually saying something. It's not just a canned recording that is just gibberish, which sounded good for the movie or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that that is
Why
possible.
do some dogs not react at all to dogs on television and other dogs will follow along to a TV show.
Yeah, I just the differences in the breeds, if they're, a Raymond is a terrier and they're much more alert and they're hunter killers. So that's more, they're more bred for that to pay attention to their surroundings and look for things and chase things. And other dogs are more just like, hey, I'm just hanging out. And, like your golden retriever is going to be like, yeah, I don't care about that. I just want you to pet me and give me treats.
Yeah.
So I just the differences in the breeds.
The other funny thing is too, like some dogs even like if you, let's say, you're away on a trip where we're
Mhm,
at the Super Bowl
mhm.
and you call back home and your wife puts you on speakerphone. Some dogs will react to that
Yes,
and others will no reaction.
correct. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, again, it's just the differences in the personality of each dog. And I think you're more likely to get a reaction from the well, the labs are a hunting dog, but they're more just a retriever. They're not actually putting an animal at or keeping animal at bay or actually hunting and killing them or a guard dog certainly I think would be much more attentive. It's just the differences in the breed.
Yeah.
I would say any terrier, any shepherd, any hound would be more likely to react.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's strange.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the second one.
All right.
Is this possible? And this has come up in the UFO
Mhm.
documentaries and different things about the secret government programs, the CIA. And in fact, Jimmy Carter, I just heard the tape of this
Mhm.
because this came up during an interview about the UFO documentary we were speaking of. There's a video of Jimmy Carter talking about using a remote viewer, a person who was trained in remote viewing and helped locate a downed airplane that went down in like a jungle that they
Mhm.
could not find. And a remote viewer is a trained person who can sit in a room and think about the area where you've lost something and can somehow conjure up a visual of that area while in a remote place and can tell you where something is. Do you think that is possible?
Again, more so than the sort of telepathy with animals, although you would ask why I make that distinction.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Um, Perhaps it's because it's the different species that are trying to communicate telepathically, but I do know after listening to Coast AM,
Oh, is he or does he do remote viewers
he
ever?
talks about remote viewing, and I do believe that our military has investigated the using remote
Yes.
viewers for, for spying or what have you. So I would say that there's probably I'd have to look at their statistics if they ever made them available about does this actually work. I know some police sometimes use psychics, if you will,
Yeah.
to help solve murders
Yeah, like where are missing people?
or find the bodies.
Yeah.
So I would say there's probably a 25%, maybe even a 33% chance that there's something to that because we obviously we don't know everything about the brain, and with evolution maybe some people have developed, that ability has evolved over time, that telepathy is something that is going to happen in the natural course of human evolution because when you talk about the grays or whatever aliens you want to talk about, oftentimes they're depicted as being able to communicate telepathically.
Yes.
So perhaps that is the next step in evolution of highly intelligent creatures. I would say that that's possible. I don't know the science of how, a brain wave can be transmitted from one to the other. I don't know, but is it possible? I would say that is possible.
I wonder what the training program is like for that.
Yeah, what for the remote
Yeah,
viewing?
for remote viewing.
Well, they maybe just demonstrated ability and people sort of find out about it and then they're
So it's nothing that they can like they can't train somebody who doesn't have the ability, but if you have the ability, they can. get you to a
Yeah,
point where you can concentrate more.
I would say that, and the evolution aspect of that is, you know that's what makes me think that that might develop, if that's even something that's, like, possible. Like, I don't know the science of how a brain wave would be transmitted and picked up, or maybe we're always transmitting our thoughts and brain waves, but only certain people can that only certain people have the receiver that
Mm.
has evolved in their brain. And maybe eventually that will become where most people have the receiver, because the radio waves are transmitted and picked up and decoded, so perhaps brain waves could be as well.
Yeah, I do think there are people that believe in ghosts that can see them,
Hmm.
and others that do not.
Right, could be a similar thing where they can see the spirit world. um and that but there are very few who have that ability. But the question is, what is the evolutionary advantage? Is there one to that? Or is it just a random mutation that it doesn't really favor that person to pass on those genes one way or the other? So then it maybe won't become a trait that everyone has if there's no evolutionary advantage to that.
Yeah,
And in terms of, like, being able to hear everybody's thoughts, if everyone could do that, that's bad news, because we have some dark thoughts, things that we don't say. Now, some people on the internet will say those dark thoughts
they will.
because they're anonymous. So they feel nobody can touch them. But if everyone could hear everything that everyone is thinking at every moment,
That'd be tough.
it's bad news.
Yeah. If you could have one of the abilities we discussed today, which would be being able to understand what an animal is asking,
Hmm.
or to be able to remote view something, which would you choose?
The animals,
Yeah,
for
me
sure.
too.
Just because a dog, I have dogs. I love animals.
You didn't want to say dog owner
I
because
did.
you don't want to be like
Correct.
you own them as if
Correct.
like they're their own.
I stopped
You
myself.
did.
Good catch.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable saying owner.
Yeah,
It
no,
feels weird.
it does.
Like
Yeah.
if you don't own a living, it's hard
Right.
to say you own a living thing.
Yeah, it is. Unless it's like, well, even your lawn. I mean, I own my property.
You do own your
There's
property,
grass
right?
on the property and
Yeah.
plants. So, yeah,
Like I'll
it's
sometimes say to my dog, "You have to do this. I'm the master." I will say
yeah.
that
Well,
sometimes.
that's different. They're pack animals. They've grown up with evolved
Yeah.
with a pack leader. So
Hmm.
that is something that's normal.
Yeah. I don't think she knows when I say I'm the master. You have
I
to
don't,
do it. I
I
said it
don't,
doesn't
yeah, based on your experience, I don't think she cares.
doesn't sink in.
And perhaps, the relationship might be reversed if you really want to analyze it.
She's the master.
Mhm.
You ever see in particular New York City where a dog walker has like 10 dogs on a
Yes,
leash?
and they're totally in control. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
it's
10
impressive.
dogs and 10 from probably 10 different apartments in New York
Right,
City.
and 10 different breeds, all different sizes.
Not one leash is taut.
Yep,
They're all loose
yep.
leashes. Everyone's going along.
Now
That is unbelievable.
now I'm sure that, these dog walkers, first of all, they know their business. They are great animal communicators
Yes.
and understand dog language. But I'm also sure that they have, like, their process of screening. Like, if you have just a very rambunctious, neurotic, aggressive dog, they either won't do it, or that dog gets walked by itself,
Yeah.
or gets walked with, this other dog that it knows that it's cool with. But they have to go to places where they're not going to necessarily run into other dogs. But yeah, because like, some dogs, they see another dog and they, like my Raymond, he is very interested in, you know, other dogs, and will, you know, people think he's nuts when he sees another dog. I have to sort of really short chain him. And he's not going to get into a fight or
But he
anything.
might playfully dive on them.
Yeah, no, no. Cooper is one who wants to say hello and is playful. And but Raymond, he postures a lot. Like, hey, I'm tough. I'm this guy. Blah blah blah. But when it comes down to it, he is going to back down
Oh,
if the
really?
other dog shows any say, I'm the man. He'll be like, okay, and then he just wants to play.
I love when dogs meet because I picture it like if this were a human interaction and not the butt sniffing.
Right.
I'm talking about like when a dog, and my dog is taller than a lot of dogs,
Mhm.
and my dog will go meet another dog on the street and they just are nose to nose, and my dog is looking down on this dog just nose to nose, and they're just,
Yeah.
and then it breaks off.
Yeah, dogs figure out that stuff within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like if like and far majority of the time, there's not gonna be an issue. They could either ignore each other or play together, whatever it is. But in terms of like who's top dog and who's if there's going to be a fight, dogs settle that stuff quick.
Yeah.
And like you have two dogs that are both aggressive, and you can most of the times one is going to back off, and there's a small percentage where they're going to fight and draw blood. So you have to be ready to break that up. But most times dogs just work that stuff out and said, "Oh, okay, you're top guy. Let's play."
Yeah. Yeah, the bad thing is when a leash is involved a lot of
Yes,
times, like,
right,
even, like,
correct.
meeting on the street.
Doing this thing, and
Yeah, because what happens is, like, I would say, like, 99% of our dog interactions are good,
mhm,
but occasionally what happens if the other dog walker is not paying attention and the leash gets wrapped around near my dog, she will
mhm,
panic if there's,
yep,
like, a and
mhm,
then you might get a snap because
yes,
she feels
of
trapped.
course, right. Something's not right here. And another thing, sometimes depending on how the dog was raised and what their history with food is, that the food bowl. If one guy finishes earlier and then wants
Oh,
to
yeah.
check, that could be a
That
problem.
could be a problem, yeah. The food
But that's a
situation.
whole that's another level of stuff.
Yeah, food.
Mhm.
All right, Eddie, let's do the warm-up program. I
Oh,
did that with
you
CeeLo.
did.
I'll do it with CeeLo again tomorrow.
You will.
I will not see you until Monday.
Tuesday.
Damn it. Tuesday. I will see you on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I thought I was gonna maybe miss out on the mukbang, but, oh, great, I'm gonna be able to
You will be here for
be
Tuesday
here for
mukbang.
mukbang.
All right, we'll do the warm-up show now then.
Yeah, we will, and happy Thanksgiving
Happy Thanksgiving.
to, all the podcast, listeners and
Yes.
YouTube watcher.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The YouTube watcher.
Yes.
So